Okay, so I was here working on the newest iteration of Taskmaster, which we will share a demo video of shortly, when I got news across my desk regarding Governor Gavin Newsom's decision to veto California State Bill 1047. Now, for those that don't know, 1047 was really the first comprehensive AI legislation to ever be proposed here in the United States, and especially to have it proposed in California, which is kind of the homeland of AI, the homeland of innovative tech. That's what California and Silicon Valley in particular are really well known for. This bill drew a lot of eyes, and it drew a lot of criticism, drew a lot of praise from some people, criticism from others. Personally, here at IntelliSync, we're going to go ahead and defer that I do agree with the governor's decision. I think SB 1047, a lot of the ways that it defined whether an AI or an organization using an AI was deserving of regulation seemed really arbitrary. There wasn't a lot of explanation as to how these standards were reached, and it was really poorly defined as to who would actually monitor and make sure that the right companies or the right models were being accounted for by the right government agency. A lot of the practical steps that the bill implied would needed to be done weren't really planned out, and that's the sign of legislation, especially when it comes to regulating new industries, that is really poorly and very quickly thrown together. So really good on the governor for identifying that this legislation probably wouldn't have helped the industry and probably would not have helped the state or the consumer at large, and so to veto it. It's a quick little CBS News article. We don't have to go into the bill. I just read through the full thing. As an example of things that, where do they define that 10 to the 26 power integer or floating point operations, cost of which exceeds 100 million based on average market prices of cloud compute? So even this, market prices of cloud compute, there's an economic force that brings the big providers like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Linode, DigitalOcean, their prices are going to be very similar. But depending at the scale that we're running things and what assets we're using to train the model itself, what types of compute, one model might hit this $100 million mark, and an objectively more powerful model might not. And so you'd rather regulate the second model, but because of how this law is designed, you're forced to regulate the first one, and you can't regulate the second one because it doesn't hit, the definition of a quote-unquote covered model. And so that's just one example. How we define critical harm, mass casualty events driven by AI. Well, at what point is the AI culpable of a mass casualty event? If I make a predictive model that tells or recommends to an ambulance company where to put assets, and my predictions are incorrect, and so as a result assets are misplaced and people die, is that the AI model's fault, or is that still the ambulance company's fault for not taking those recommendations, maybe with a grain of salt, and saying, but we're still the medical professionals and we think that the resources should be distributed more evenly, right? How much of the decision-making process, legally speaking, can we offload onto AI? This bill does not do a really good job of ironing out where those boundaries are. So either you need a more robust bill that does iron out those boundaries, or you need to wait for there to be more legal precedent that you can refer to and allow legal precedent to set those boundaries for you. Personally, given that this is California, this is the home of this sort of technology, I would hope that our legislature and our governor and our elected officials could put together robust enough legislation that the rest of the country and hopefully the rest of the world really looks to California's example as to how we properly regulate an industry with as much potential as AI has, but also the associated risk that could be present there. So, good on Governor Newsom for vetoing SB 1047. And also, good point that this was a well-intentioned bill. I don't think most people who are looking at regulating AI are coming at it from nefarious purposes, but I will say that there are people with nefarious intentions, such as Musk and Anthropic, who will kind of hitch themselves on to well-intentioned bills and promote them. So I think people like Musk and Anthropic and other giants in the industry, they have a vested interest in pushing bills like this that can stifle development, because they're already at this point where even if no further big AI development happened for 10 years, these guys made their money. And they're already entrenched at a certain point that it really doesn't matter. But if you as the consumer want there to be more powerful AI tools and AI tools for different use cases, such that your quality of life actually substantially increases as opposed to increasing, by crumbs and inches with people like Musk and Anthropic, then as a consumer, you should also support the vetoing of bills like SB 1047, because the industry has a long way to go before we can start building things that are applicable in day-to-day business life or in day-to-day consumer life. So you should want to promote as much development as possible such that those tools can come out as soon as possible and start being used by you, the individual consumer, a business that you rely on, or a business that you work for, and that hopefully your day-to-day life can be made easier through tools like Taskmaster. As I mentioned, we're doing a sort of V2 of Taskmaster. There should be video demos up, either later today or within the next week or so to kind of show that off. And we're also excited to be going down or up to the business show in Los Angeles, where I've been told by organizers there's a big interest in AI. So hopefully we get a good amount of video, maybe a live stream or two, to share our interactions with people and where the market is at in a state like California, where there is ample AI opportunity and there are ample AI startups like ourselves who are all looking to make a name for ourselves, who are all looking to release that next big product that helps push the industry in a more professional and more established direction than it is right now. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. Keep an eye out for more AI news coming from us or coming from the state of California, and we'll keep you updated with what's going on over here.